Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa Stone. I'm 31, and this is the story of how I learned that silence can be the loudest answer you ever give. It started with a single sentence that cracked open 5 years of my life. She's just my gym buddy, Alyssa. If you can't handle that, you know where the door is. At that moment, I didn't shout, didn't cry. I just looked at him, at David Miller, the man I thought I'd spend my future with, and realized he was serious. But to understand how we got there, I need to rewind. David and I met when I was 26 at a friend's barbecue. He was all energy and confidence, the kind of person who made you feel like you were in motion even when you were standing still. He worked in marketing, charming, ambitious, always selling something even if it was just his next idea. I was quiet, or a software developer who preferred order and patterns over chaos. We clicked easily. He'd tease me about my routines, meal prepping, hiking on weekends, setting monthly savings goals. "You're like a spreadsheet with a pulse," he used to joke. I'd laugh because back then it felt like affection. For a while, we balanced each other. He'd pull me out to rooftop parties, I'd pull him back towards structure. When he decided to go freelance, I helped design his website and handled invoices while he networked. We were partners, or so I thought. I even turned down a promotion that required relocation because he said he couldn't handle long distance. "We need stability, Alyssa," he told me. I believed him. Back then, I thought sacrifice was the proof of love. The first shift came subtle, like a crack beneath paint. David got obsessed with fitness. What started as morning runs turned into two-a-days at an upscale gym downtown. He started posting progress pics, motivational quotes, rise and grind captions. It was harmless at first. Everyone needs a hobby, but slowly the gym became his whole personality. That's where Jessie appeared, his new training partner. She was in his stories, constantly spotting him on squats, laughing between sets, flexing for the camera. He'd scroll through her posts during dinner. "Look how clean her form is," he'd say, or, "She's such a beast, makes me push harder." The first time he said, "You could learn a thing or two from her," I laughed it off. The second time I felt my stomach tighten. I tried to talk to him once. I remember the rain tapping on the kitchen window while I stirred soup. "David, can we talk about those posts? The ones with Jessie? They make me uncomfortable." He didn't even look up from his phone. "Oh, come on, Alyssa. Don't be one of those girlfriends. It's just the gym." "But you're in almost all her photos," I said softly, "and you cancel our plans for her sessions." He finally glanced up, smirk tugging at his mouth. "You're overreacting. Maybe if you joined us more, you'd understand." The way he said us hit harder than I admitted. Weeks passed, each one heavier than the last. He started staying out late, networking, he called it. The warmth between us shrank to polite updates and half-hearted smiles. I was doing everything to keep it together, cooking, listening, reminding him of bills, trying to be supportive even when it hurt. Then one night I found the messages. I wasn't snooping. He'd left his phone unlocked on the counter while showering. Notifications kept flashing Jessie's name, heart emojis, "Can't wait for tomorrow's session." I stood there, heart thudding so loud I could hear it over the water running. When he came out, towel around his waist, I just held the phone out. "We need to talk." He froze, then frowned. "What the hell, Alyssa? Were you going through my stuff?" "No," I said quietly. "You left it open. I saw the messages." He rolled his eyes. "Oh my God, you're making drama out of nothing. She motivates me, that's all." "Then why the hearts?" He smirked. "You really think a few emojis mean I'm cheating? Grow up." That word "grow up" was gasoline. "David," I said, forcing calm, "we've been together 5 years. I'm not accusing you. I'm asking for honesty." He sighed, frustration blooming into arrogance. "Fine. She gets me in ways you don't. She's spontaneous, driven. You're safe, comfortable. But I need someone who pushes me." "So you flirt with her?" "It's harmless," he said. Then, with a shrug that could have shattered glass, "Yet." The word echoed in the room like thunder. Something in me switched off. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. "So there is something going on," I said. He threw his towel over the chair, pacing. "God, you're so dramatic. I can't breathe around you anymore. Jessie doesn't interrogate me. She lets me be me." "Right," I murmured. "She lets you be someone else." He stopped, glared. "If you can't handle me having female friends, maybe you're not the person I thought you were." "Friends don't replace relationships," I said. "Handle it or don't." "Alyssa," he snapped. "She's my gym buddy, and if you can't handle that, you know where the door is." That's when everything went still. I remember the hum of the refrigerator, the rain outside, the faint smell of citrus detergent. I looked at him, saw no trace of love, just a man defending his ego. I didn't argue, didn't ask him to reconsider. I turned, walked to the bedroom, and started packing. Jeans, laptop, toothbrush. My hands shook, but not from fear, from clarity. David leaned on the doorframe watching me. You're really doing this. You're overreacting. Maybe I said folding a shirt, but at least I'm reacting. He scoffed. Fine. Run away. You'll regret it. Who's going to cook your boring meals now? I zipped the bag, looked him in the eyes. Someone who deserves my calm. Then I picked up my keys, walked out, and closed the door behind me. The click of the lock sounded like a gunshot, signaling the start of something new. That night, I drove to a friend's apartment parked outside and sat there for a long time. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. The city lights blurred in the rain, reflections bleeding like memories I wasn't ready to face. But under the ache, a strange stillness grew. He told me where the door was, so I walked through it, and I didn't look back. The first morning after I left, David felt like a hangover without the party. No smell of his protein shakes, no pounding music from his workout playlists, just the hollow quiet of a borrowed couch and my thoughts echoing too loud. I made coffee in my friend Mia's kitchen, hands trembling as I poured. She tried to lighten the air. You can stay here as long as you need, she said, voice soft. Thanks, I whispered, staring at the dark surface of the cup. I don't even know where to start. Start with breathing, she said, and don't text him. I smiled weakly because that was the hardest part, the silence. When you've spent years orbiting someone's moods, the stillness after feels unbearable. My phone stayed face down, yet my mind buzzed with what-ifs. Would he notice I was gone? Would he miss me? Would he even care? Days blurred. I went to work, but even my code looked wrong. Lines of logic breaking under distraction. Nights were worse. I'd lie awake replaying his words like bad dialogue. She gets me in ways you don't. Was that true? Had I been too steady, too boring, too predictable? Therapy became my anchor. Mia recommended someone, Dr. Patel, a woman with calm eyes and a notebook filled with silence. He accused you of smothering him, she said during our second session. What do you think that really meant? I thought about the years I'd cooked for him, supported his freelance dreams, covered bills, when clients ghosted. Maybe I made life too easy for him, I murmured. Or maybe she said gently, he confused being cared for with being controlled. That sentence cracked something open. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment near the park, a place that smelled faintly of paint and possibility. The walls were bare, the air empty, but it was mine. The first night there, I sat cross-legged on the floor, eating takeout, listening to the hum of the fridge. No background noise, no footsteps, no passive-aggressive sighs. It was quiet, painfully quiet, but it was also peaceful. I cried that night, not because I missed him, but because I was finally allowed to. Work became my refuge. I poured myself into projects, accepted extra assignments, stayed late, just to avoid going home too early. My manager noticed. You're on fire lately, she said. I smiled, not mentioning that the fire came from burning bridges. I rejoined a hiking club I'd quit years ago. The first climb back up that mountain trail almost broke me, lungs burning, thighs aching. But halfway up, a breeze brushed my face and something loosened inside me. For years, I'd bent myself into a smaller shape to fit David's world. Now, every step up that mountain felt like unfolding. When I reached the top, I took a deep breath and whispered into the wind, "This is mine now." Months slipped by. 3, then 4. Every day, the silence felt less like punishment and more like protection. I went to the gym again, not the fancy one downtown, just a small local place where no one flexed for cameras. I started lifting weights not to impress anyone, but to feel strong in my own body again. Ironically, I began to understand what David used to chase, not attention, but control. The difference was, I didn't need an audience for mine. I lost a little weight, gained a little confidence. My therapist called it reclaiming agency. I just called it breathing again. Sometimes, though, the past slipped through the cracks. A song we used to play in the car, the smell of citrus detergent like the one I used that last night, little ghosts that visited when I least expected them. But each time they came, they stayed shorter. Then one evening, after a long coding sprint, I got a message from Donald, a mutual friend I hadn't talked to since the breakup. "Hey Alyssa," it read. "Not sure if you've heard, but David's been going through it." I stared at the screen, pulse steady but curious, going through what I typed. He hesitated before replying. "It's kind of messy. His new girl, the gym one, Jessie. Let's just say that perfect couple vibe didn't last. He's..." Not doing great. I didn't respond right away. I set my phone down, exhaled, and let the words sink in. A few months ago, that message would have been gasoline on an open wound. Now it was quiet. I made tea, sat by the window, and watched the streetlights flicker against the rain. Somewhere out there, the man who told me to find the door was finally facing one himself. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to knock. I journaled that night, not out of spite, but clarity. He said I was too calm, too safe. But safety isn't boring, it's peace. He just didn't know how to live in it. The next morning, I woke up lighter. I made coffee, packed my bag, and caught my reflection in the mirror, dark circles, fading eyes, steadier. The silence that once scared me had become my favorite sound. And though I didn't know it yet, that silence was about to be interrupted. Because when you finally stop chasing what broke you, that's when it tries to come back. It was a Sunday afternoon when Donald called again. His tone carried that careful mix of gossip and concern. Hey, Alyssa, I don't know if you want to hear this, but David's kind of unraveling. I hesitated, fingers tightening around my mug. Unraveling how? He sighed. Jesse dumped him. Apparently things got ugly. Controlling behavior, fights at the gym. You name it. I didn't say anything for a long time. Just listened to the faint hum of his car on the other end of the line. Thought you should know, Donald added. He's been asking around about you too. Says he misses your stability. That word again. Stability. The same one he used to mock me with. Thanks, Donald, I said quietly. But that chapter's closed. When I hung up, I didn't feel triumph. Not even anger. Just a quiet confirmation that I'd made the right choice. Over the next few weeks, snippets about David filtered through mutual friends like echoes in a tunnel. Jesse, the gym buddy. He'd practically worshipped, turned out to be, as obsessive as he was. She'd push him harder, demanding new content, longer hours, bigger transformations. It wasn't love. It was competition, wrapped in flirtation. And David, always craving validation, fed right into it until it broke him. Their arguments spilled onto social media, deleted posts, vague captions, cryptic stories about fake people, and toxic energy. At first, I scrolled past them without emotion. But one night, curiosity tugged harder. I clicked on one of his old videos. His smile looked different now, strained, almost hollow. The man who once laughed at my quiet routines now looked lost without them. Meanwhile, my life was unfolding in the opposite direction. I'd been promoted to lead developer, a role I'd once turned down for him. My small apartment no longer felt temporary. It was home. I'd started developing a wellness tracking app combining mindfulness with time management tools I'd once needed to survive him. My therapist called it transforming pain into pattern. I just called it progress. The irony wasn't lost on me. While David's world spiraled around gym mirrors, and applause mine grew quietly stable, steady as code compiling without error. One evening, I stopped by the grocery store near his old apartment. The cashier, a woman who used to know us both, smiled awkwardly. Haven't seen you two around in a while. How's David? She asked. I paused. We're not together anymore. Her expression softened. Oh, well, maybe that's for the best. He came in a few weeks ago looking different, angry. Told off a staff member over a discount card. I nodded, setting my items down gently. That sounds like him. But as I walked back to my car, the wind felt strangely heavy. There was a time when I would have rushed to fix him, bring soup, soothe his temper, carry his chaos. Now all I felt was distance. The next morning, while brewing coffee, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Alyssa. It's David. Can we talk? I froze mid-pour, the bitter aroma filling the kitchen. It had been nearly 7 months since I'd left. 7 months of silence. I didn't reply. I deleted the message. But later that night, another text appeared. Please. I messed up. Jesse wasn't what I thought. I miss what we had. I placed my phone face down, heartbeat steady. In the silence, I realized I didn't miss him. I missed the version of myself I'd abandoned to keep him happy. A few days later, Donald sent me a link, a thread from someone who claimed to be one of David's old clients. He bailed on a campaign halfway, stopped showing up. Jesse handled everything until she dropped him too. Guess he's back at square one. The comments underneath were brutal. He used to act like he was better than everyone. That couple was exhausting. Didn't he cheat on his last girlfriend? I didn't read more. The satisfaction that should have come never did. I'd grown past needing karma to prove my worth. Because here's the truth I'd learned through therapy. Karma isn't revenge. It's revelation. It doesn't destroy them. It just shows who they always were. Still, curiosity lingered. One rainy night, I found myself walking by the old gym lights dimmed behind the glass. Through the window, I saw him, David, alone at the bench press. No crowd, no camera, no Jesse. Just him, smaller somehow, like gravity finally remembered him. For a brief moment, he looked up, eyes catching mine through the glass. Surprise flickered. Shame followed. I nodded once, polite, distant, then turned away. My steps echoed down the wet sidewalk, rhythmic, steady. I didn't look back. That night, as I crawled into bed, I realized something that felt like closure. Real closure, not the kind you beg for. I didn't hate him. I didn't forgive him either. I simply didn't owe him anything anymore. The world he'd built on ego and applause was collapsing, and I was finally free from its debris. The next morning, I woke up early, stretched, and went for a run. The air smelled clean. My lungs burned, but in the best way, like starting over. David's world was cracking, yes, but mine was finally whole. It started with a soft buzz on my phone during a morning run. Unknown number, Alyssa, please. I need to talk. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, another. You were right about everything. Jesse was toxic. I'm sorry. By the time I finished my jog, there were 6 messages. By the end of the week, 23. Every single one ended the same way. I miss your calm. Calm. The same calm he'd once accused me of mistaking for love. I didn't reply. Therapy had taught me that silence is an answer too. But silence, I learned, is also fuel for the desperate. Soon came the emails. Long, sprawling apologies full of self-pity and half-accountability. You didn't deserve how I treated you. Jesse isolated me, made me doubt myself. I was broken, and you were the only person who ever grounded me. There it was again, the word grounded, like I was some emotional first aid kit he could call when the world turned on him. I didn't respond to those either. Instead, I kept building my app. Ironically, it was starting to gain traction, a mindfulness tracker that helped users measure emotional energy. My therapist smiled when I showed her. You're turning your pain into data, she said. That's healing. Still, the notifications came, and then the calls. At first, I let them ring out. Then came the voicemails. Hey, it's me. I know I screwed up. But you're different, Alyssa. You always saw the real me. Next night, I just need to hear your voice once. Then slurred at midnight. I can't sleep. I keep seeing you walk out that night. You were right. You were always right. His desperation was exhausting, like an echo from a past I'd already buried. But the part that stung, the part that made my stomach twist, was how easily he slipped between remorse and manipulation. 2 days later, you could at least answer. After everything I did for you. Everything he did for me. I laughed out loud at that one. Then came the guilt brigade. Donald texted. Hey, I know it's weird, but David's a mess. Maybe just talk to him once. He says he just needs closure. Closure. The word people use when what they really mean is permission to rewrite the ending. No, I texted back. He already got closure. It was the sound of me closing the door. A few days later, a call from an unfamiliar number. A woman's voice. Sharp. Defensive. Hi, Alyssa. This is Lydia, David's sister. He's been depressed since you ghosted him. I paused, forcing my voice steady. I didn't ghost him, Lydia. I walked away from being mistreated. She scoffed. Everyone makes mistakes. He's family. He deserves compassion. And I deserve peace, I replied softly. Then I hung up. My hand shook a little afterward, not from guilt, but from the effort of holding my boundary. The next week, the tone of his messages changed again. From apologies, guilt, anger. You're heartless. You think you're better than me now. Don't pretend you didn't love me once. I heard about your little app. Must be nice having everything while I'm falling apart. Then silence for 3 days. On the 4th night, a new voicemail. His voice was soft, tired. Alyssa, please, I've lost everything. Jesse drained me dry, money, clients, friends. My lease is up. I can't even sleep. You were the only one who ever made me feel safe. I'm begging you. Just dinner, that's all. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, listening to the quiet after his words faded. There was a time I would have run to him, but that version of me, naive, accommodating, endlessly forgiving, was gone. I deleted the voicemail, then blocked the number again. But he wasn't done. Emails from new addresses appeared. I just want closure. Can't we at least be friends? I know I don't deserve it, but maybe you can find it in your heart. I stopped reading halfway through each one. I'd learned that empathy for the wrong person is self-harm in disguise. Still, it wore me down. Nights of anxiety crept back, that old fear of being cornered by guilt. At our next session, Dr. Patel said, "You don't owe anyone access just because they regret losing you." I know, I said quietly, But it's hard not to look like the villain when everyone sees him falling apart. She smiled faintly. Sometimes protecting your peace does make you the villain in someone else's story. That's okay. You're not living in their book anymore. Her words sat with me for days. Then came Mike's birthday party, a mutual friend, rooftop bar. I'd promised to show up weeks ago before the chaos started. Part of me wanted to skip it to avoid the social whispers, the awkward, "How have you been?" But another part of me, the part that had learned to stand tall again, wanted to go. I picked a simple black dress, nothing loud, nothing attention-seeking, just confidence stitched in fabric. I even brought Marcus, a friendly colleague who'd helped with my app launch. Nothing romantic, but solid company. The city lights glittered as we stepped out onto the rooftop. Music, laughter, the scent of champagne. It felt good to be among people again, not ghosts. Then, just as I was laughing at something Marcus said, I felt it, that prickling awareness of being watched. I turned, and there he was. David, standing by the bar, holding a drink like a lifeline, his once pristine posture slouched, eyes rimmed, red hair, unkempt. He looked like someone who'd lost a fight with life with himself. Our eyes met, he froze, then started walking toward me. The noise around us faded. I inhaled slowly, steadying myself, because I already knew what was coming. And this time I wouldn't flinch. The moment David started walking toward me, the rooftop suddenly felt smaller, like the air itself held its breath. Music pulsed in the background, laughter, carried from one side of the terrace, but around us, it was just noise. He looked thinner eyes, glassy with the sheen of too many sleepless nights. "Alyssa," he said, voice low, trembling between guilt and need. "Thank God you're here." God. I didn't move. David. Even saying his name felt foreign now, like recalling a language I'd forgotten how to speak. He took a step closer. "Please, can we talk privately?" "Just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." I could feel Marcus glance at me, ready to intervene if needed. But I shook my head gently. "It's fine," I murmured to him. Then to David, "Say what you need to say. Here's as good a place as any." His jaw tightened. "You really want to do this in public? I'm not the one who came here uninvited." That drew a few curious looks from nearby guests. He noticed, flinched, then lowered his voice. "I know I hurt you," he started. "I was stupid. Jessie. She wasn't what I thought. She controlled me, isolated me, made me feel worthless. But you were my peace, Alyssa, my constant. I didn't see it until it was gone." His words fell like a script rehearsed too many times. I'd read every version of it already in texts, in voicemails, in his desperate midnight calls. I didn't interrupt, I just let him talk because sometimes silence is the sharpest response. He swallowed hard, voice cracking. "I lost everything. My job, my place. I'm staying with a friend now. I can't sleep, can't focus. I think about you all the time. I know I don't deserve another chance, but..." I raised my hand, gently stopping him. "You're right, you don't." He blinked, startled. "Alyssa, please." "I'm trying to make things right, David," I said quietly. "The night I walked out, you told me exactly where the door was. I didn't slam it. I didn't shout. I just walked through it. And on the other side, I found myself again." He stared at me, confusion flashing into anger. "So that's it. You're just done." "I was done the minute you laughed while I was breaking," I said. But I didn't know it yet. His voice rose, slightly trembling with humiliation. "You think you're better than me now? With your fancy new job, your perfect little life?" I smiled faintly. "No, I just stopped confusing chaos with love." Around us, the party went quiet, not completely, but enough. Conversations softened, eyes flicked toward us. The tension was thick enough to taste. Marcus stepped slightly closer, a subtle wall of reassurance at my side. That small gesture, unspoken, respectful, was everything David had never understood. David's tone shifted, desperate again. "You don't understand what I've been through. Jessie destroyed me. I need someone who knows the real me." "You mean someone who will absorb the fallout," I said evenly. "Someone who will carry the weight of your self-inflicted chaos. That's not love, David. That's dependence." He looked stricken, but still reached out, fingers trembling. I need a chance to prove I've changed." I stepped back. His hand fell between us, like something heavy and broken. "You're still chasing validation," I said softly. "Only now you're calling it redemption." He laughed bitterly. "You think walking away makes you noble? You think ignoring me makes you healed? You're cold, Alyssa. Heartless." I let the words hang, let him believe they could sting. But they didn't. Not anymore. "Maybe," I said finally, "but I'd rather be heartless than endlessly forgiving to someone who never learned how to stay." He stared at me, lost for words. Then his voice cracked one last time. You'll regret this. I smiled a calm, quiet smile that carried years of restraint. I already did. Once. Then I turned facing Marcus, who was watching silently protective, but never possessive, ready to grab another drink. Always, he said, offering me a small grin. As we walked away, I felt the murmur of whispers ripple behind us. David's figure blurred in my periphery, just another story fading into the city skyline. Later, as the night wound down, I stood at the railing, watching the lights shimmer across the rooftops. The air was cool, carrying that faint smell of rain on metal. For the first time in years, I felt light. No residual ache, no lingering doubt, just peace. I thought back to that night months ago, the sound of the door clicking shut behind me, the rain, the hum of the refrigerator. It wasn't the end of something, it was the beginning of me. David's world had been built on noise, validation, applause, endless movement. Mine had been built on silence, and in that silence, I'd found truth. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes. Sometimes walking away isn't revenge, I whispered to myself. It's redemption. Then I turned toward the laughter, the music, the life still unfolding ahead of me. And this time I didn't look back.